everyone. A very good morning to all of you. Hope everyone is safe, everyone is doing fine. And finally, we are going to start the final session for your NEET examination. So please take everyone serious. Take it seriously, prepare well and get the advantage of this course and try to make your concepts stronger and make yourself confident and try to perform well in each and every exam so that you become ready with all the possible with all the possible bullets for the final NEET examination. So I wish you very all the best, and in this course we are going to discuss all the chapters. Of course, already it started yesterday. So today we are going to discuss about ray optics. So it's all about light and its nature, or better to say the phenomena observed from the light. So light has shown different phenomena. So depending on the phenomena it's shown, to explain those phenomena we have given particular nature. And here in ray optics, what are all the nature we will study, what are all the phenomena is. One is reflection and another one is refraction and another one is dispersion. So one more also will be there, that is total internal reflection. So scattering also will be there, but it is very small thing. So mainly what we study is reflection and refraction and also dispersion and total internal reflection. So this is what we are going to study. So here we are not going to study everything in depth. So what it is exactly, and what are the questions will come, or what type of questions will come, better to say on what basis questions will come. That is what mainly important thing here which we are going to discuss. So the very first thing when you consider reflection, so reflection means you take reflection, refraction, anything. First thing what we required is interface. In the whole chapter we require one interface. And when you consider an interface, it is a common surface which separate two different media, medium 1, medium 2. And as we are talking about light, light travels with different speed in different media. So in medium 1 the speed v1, medium 2 speed is v2, where generally the speed of the light is c. So v1 is c by mu1, v2 is c by mu2, where mu is refractive index. Mu1 is refractive index of medium 1, mu2 is refractive index of medium 2. Now here you can represent the refractive index with n also. Now what actually happens, or what we will study here is, when light is traveling, the first question arises, in what way it travels. So according to the phenomena shown by light, different people have given different nature. But here all the phenomena we explain based on the one nature, that is ray nature, or better to say particle nature. So light travels in the form of particles, and the path followed by each particle we call it as ray. So here, as long as the light ray passing through one particular medium, no deviation, it travels along the straight line. Of course light travels along the straight line every time. It will not go in zigzag manner, or it will not take curved path. But what happens when there is a medium change, means light is traveling through air, suddenly enters into air, or fall on the water surface first, then what can happen? So that is what reflection and refraction. So in a simple way to understand it, if there is an interface means A surface which separates two different media having refractive index mu1, mu2. And light may travel in one medium, either from one medium or either through second medium. And when it falls on the other medium, so that is called point of incidence. And if you draw the perpendicular, that is called normal to the surface, and the angle between them is angle of incidence, then what can happen? So then what can happen is a part of light can go back to the same medium, bouncing back, or a part can enter into the other medium. And here the light which got rebounded, which bounces back into the same medium mu1, that we call it as reflected light, and that makes same angle, that of angle of incidence. But when light enters from one medium to another medium, there are two possibilities that light may bend towards or away from the normal, means it deviates from its original path. So here bouncing back of light into the same medium, we call it as reflection, and transmitting from one medium to another medium, we call it as refraction, where in case of refraction also there is angle between refracted light and the normal, so that is what we call it as angle of refraction. And the very first question what we need to understand is, in case of reflection or in case of refraction, what are the laws we have? The laws are very simple. In case of reflection, the law is simple, that angle of incidence and angle of reflection always same. And here angle of refraction may be less than or greater than. So when it is less than, when it is greater, so that condition we need to remember, that depends upon the refractive index of the medium. So when you consider interface, here one medium, here another medium, mu1 may be greater than mu2 or mu2 greater than mu1, anything is possible. So here depending on that, so light will get deviated. So if mu1 is greater, that means the greater one we call it as denser compared to lesser one. Now it will become rarer, then R is greater than I. So that means the light is going from denser to rarer. In that case, the deviation of the light ray is R minus I. Now in this case, the light is entering from rarer to denser, that means R is less than I, then the deviation is I minus R. So there is always a deviation. It is deviating from its own path by some angle. That angle is this one. Here also in case of reflection, same thing. See, light is coming and reflecting. Now actually it was going like this. So it got deviated. So this is the angle of deviation, where this is I, this is I. So total is 2I. Now this total angle is 180. This is 2I. So what is the deviation here? 180 minus 2I. So based on the reflection, they can ask you the questions. So what questions they can ask? First, based on reflection or refraction. But one more thing, one more equation also will be there. In case of refraction, when you consider refraction, when light enters from one medium to another medium with an angle of incidence I, angle of refraction R, from medium mu1 to mu2, then sin I by sin R equal to mu2 by mu1. So based on this, questions can come. Direct, formula based. This is called Snell's law. And now if you consider first, reflection at plane surface means plane mirror will come. So when you consider a plane mirror, so there is a plane mirror. So when you consider plane mirror or spherical mirror or lens, anything, in the whole ray optics, we talk about two things. Object, image. We talk about two things. One is object, another one is image. What is object, what is image? In a simple way. Object means the point from which incident rays originate, or the point from which the incident rays appear to originate. They may originate originally, they may appear to originate. So this is called real object, this is called virtual object. So this is about object, two types, real object, virtual object. Similar way, when you consider image, the intersection point of reflected rays going and intersecting at one point, or they appear to intersect at one point. So they are going like this, and when you extend them, they are looking like they will intersect here. So when you have to make them to appear to intersect, that is called virtual. Otherwise it is real. But image is related to the intersection of reflected or refracted rays, and object is related to the incident rays. So that is the one thing we always take in case of plane mirror, spherical mirror, or lens or anything. So now here, when you consider plane mirror, what are all the points you need to remember when you want to solve the question? Whenever in case of plane mirror, object and image always at same distance. Object is at x means image also at x. Object size is always equal to image size. So because now we will define one more thing, that is magnification. So magnification means size of image by size of object. So what is the magnification in this case? 1. Because size of image and object always equal in case of plane mirror. Now afterwards, what is the other thing you need to remember is, if the mirror is fixed, object is moving towards, then image also moves towards by the same distance with the same velocity. Suppose object is moving away by distance x, image will move by distance x. Object is moving with 1 meter per second, image also moves with 1 meter per second. And afterwards, suppose object is fixed, you are moving mirror, then image will move double distance with double speed. Suppose mirror moved by x, image moves by 2x. If mirror moved towards, image moves towards. If mirror moved away, image also moves away. So those points are important. And one more thing, when you consider in case of mirrors, sometimes they'll ask you question based on intersection of or inclined two mirrors. So when two mirrors are inclined at an angle theta, and if you place one object on its symmetrical axis, the number of images are, you have to find out 360 by theta. So the number of images are 360 by theta if it is odd. Number of images are 360 by theta minus 1 if 360 by theta is even. First you find 360 by theta. If it is odd, that is the answer. If it is even, you subtract with 1. So that way, between two inclined plane mirrors, there are some number of images, and that number of images you can find from this formula. So these are the points you mainly remember it. And when you consider reflection at plane surface, curved or spherical surface, two surfaces we will have. One is convex surface, one is concave surface. So if you silver outside, that is concave. If you silver inside, that is convex. Don't think like this is convex or this is concave. See, this also concave. The thing is, outside should be silver. Now here, this is also convex because inner side is silver. So what is the first thing you should understand here is, you take any spherical surface, concave or convex. So when you consider a spherical surface, first thing you can imagine one sphere. So there must be one center. That is called center of curvature. And the length of the curve is called, that is curvature. And the central point of curvature we call it as pole. This is center of curvature. And if you join these two things, then it is called principal axis. What we call it as principal axis. Now, here, if there is an object at any particular point, the object distance we call it as u, and the corresponding image distance somewhere, here, anywhere, the image distance we represent with v. And whenever you consider any spherical surface, these are the things common. These are the things common. And here the midpoint between center and pole is called focus. And the distances of anything we measure with respect to pole. So distance of center is called radius of curvature. Distance of focus is called focal length. And distance of object is u. Distance of image is v. So here, when you consider any such spherical mirror, there is one formula we will derive, that is 1 by v plus 1 by u equal to 1 by f. So when there is an object, there is a corresponding image, and the object distance u, image distance v means the relation is this one, where the radius of curvature is 2 times focal length. Now here, one question always arises, where the object is, suppose object is placed here, where the image will form. So that is one of the important thing we need to understand. Let us try to understand that. In case of object image position, when you consider, see, first concave mirror you consider. When object is at infinity, image forms at focus. Now you slowly move the object towards mirror. So from infinity to center, in between anywhere you keep, the image will form between center and focus. So as you are moving towards, this will move away. Now when object is at center, image also at center. Then when object is between center and focus, then it will go beyond center. Because it is moving closer, the image will move far away. Now when object is at focus, then image is at infinity. So the shifting will happen. As object moved from infinity to focus, image moves from focus to infinity. So in all these cases, wherever you place object, the image is in front of the mirror, that's why it is called real image. So here object distance and image distance, when you consider, we measure with respect to pole with a proper sign convention. What is that sign convention? See, in case of mirror, in a simple way what you consider is, object side is, real object side is always negative. So this side. So the other side is, behind the mirror it is positive. So always in front of the mirror negative, behind the mirror positive. Above the principal axis positive, below the principal axis negative. If object is like this, or if image is like this height is positive, this height is negative. So that sign convention is also important. Now here, the rest of the thing is this one. If object is between focus and pole somewhere, then image will form beyond the mirror, behind the mirror. So that is called virtual image, because it is beyond. Now here, in case of real object, there is a real and inverted image. Real and inverted image. Inverted means object upside means image downward. But in case of this position, if object is upside, image also upside. So that is called erect. If object and image are same side, either upside or downside, that we call it as erect. So here object and image position is very important. Now whatever may be the position, if you want to find the exact position, the formula is 1 by v plus 1 by u equal to 1 by f. And here also few more formulas you need to remember. Suppose at a particular position, at a distance u, there is one object. Now there is a corresponding image. The height of the image hi, the height of the object ho. Then magnification means the ratio of height of image by height of object, and that formula is equal to minus v by u. So based on this equation, also they will ask question. And you need to understand these rules properly, because same rules will be applied to convex lens also. So convex lens also same rules will be there, but their two sides will be there, that we will discuss later. Now this is about concave mirror. Now when you consider convex mirror, see, if there is a convex mirror, Now, if you take object is at infinity, then image will form at focus, but other side. So virtual image. You take object anywhere between infinity and pole, the image is behind it, between focus and pole somewhere. That also virtual. And always when you consider the convex mirror, the image size is always lesser than object size. No question of magnified image. Always diminished image. But always erect image. Erect means object above means image also above. No question of inverted image, no question of enlarged image. Always virtual and erect image, but diminished size. That is what you have to remember about convex mirror. And convex mirror rule, same thing you will apply to concave lens. Concave mirror rule, same thing you will apply to convex lens. So remember all those rules. Now, we have taken magnification formula. Sometimes they will ask question like this. Suppose there is a concave mirror. One object of length something they place along the principal axis. Then what is the image length they will ask. So here the object is placed along this. So that's why it is called longitudinal magnification. Then how do you find it? You have to take one end as U1, other end as U2. Then find the corresponding V1 and V2. Obviously, the closer object image is far and far object image is closer. So somewhere you will get like this. Somewhere you will get, somewhere, we don't know. But this will become V2, this will become V1. So that V1 minus V2, what you will get? The length of image. So you take both ends as two objects, U1, U2, corresponding V1, V2 you find it and then subtract. Then you will get the length of the image. Then if you find the ratio of length of image by length of object is called longitudinal magnification. So one is lateral magnification, another one is longitudinal magnification. So that is what mirror case. Now when you consider refraction. So when you consider refraction, first refraction at plane surface. So when there is a refraction at plane surface, so the first formula they can ask question is sin I by sin R equal to mu2 by mu1. This is mu1, this is mu2. Now, next thing. So when you consider, apart from Snell's law, what else they can ask is, here I will just show you, suppose there is a medium having refractive index mu and thickness t. Now there is one object here at the bottom, and when you observe from this medium, then what will happen? See, generally this is air medium, this is some medium. So air medium means refractive index approximately 1. So here object is in denser medium and observer is in rarer medium. Then what happens is it appears to be slightly above than the original, like this. So this is called apparent depth. This is called real depth. This is called shift. So based on this, they will ask you question that here apparent depth equal to real depth by mu. Real depth by mu. Or in another way I will tell you, apparent depth by real depth in any case. Maybe object in rarer medium or denser medium. So how to make this one is d apparent by d real means mu observer by mu object. This is the general formula. When the observer is in one medium, object is in another medium and observer is observing. Suppose usually here what they will ask is a fish observing the bird. So observer is in denser medium, object is in rarer medium, air. Or a bird observing the fish. Now object is in denser medium, observer is in rarer medium. So based on this, when you consider, one more thing will come here, as the mu observer here is 1. So in this case, the D apparent will become T by mu. So if there is an object at a depth T in a medium, then it appears to be at a depth dA only, that is T by mu. So there is a shift in the position, that shift equal to real minus apparent. Real is T minus T by mu, that is T into 1 minus 1 by mu. So this is the apparent depth and shift in the position when there is a refraction. That's why if there is something inside the water, it looks like it came out. Or if you take a glass slab and put it on the paper and look at the letters appears to be come up. That is because of this. Now, afterwards. So, here only one more thing. Suppose there is one media, multiple media is there. That is T1, T2, T3, so on. Having refractive index mu1, mu2, mu3. And object is at the bottom. So then the apparent depth will become T1 by mu1 plus T2 by mu2 plus T3 by mu3, so on. Then shift also if they ask, due to first media, that is T1 into 1 minus 1 by mu1 plus due to second media T2 into 1 minus 1 by mu2, so on. If 3 are there, 3, 4 are there, 4, 10 are there, 10. So like that they can ask question based on the apparent position of object or apparent position of image due to refraction. Now, based on this reflection and refraction, one concept we will study, that is total internal reflection. So this is also one of the important concept, that is when you consider total internal reflection. So total internal reflection means, first of all, what is important is light should go from denser to rarer medium. What is the condition? Here the condition is the light should go from denser to rarer medium. So mu, this is denser, this is mu rarer. Now light is going from denser to rarer, so that it will bend away. So R is greater than I. So as I is keep on changing, what you will observe is at a particular angle of incidence called critical angle, the refracted angle will become 90 degrees. So the angle of refraction will become 90 degrees. That means the refracted ray goes parallel to the interface. Now if angle of incidence is greater than critical angle, then the light will not enter into other media, it will come back again. See, it is not a perfectly reflecting surface. Only just because of the condition is that angle of incidence is greater than certain critical angle, that's why the whole light is coming back, reflecting back. That's why it is called total internal reflection. So in total internal reflection, first formula is formula for angle of critical angle sin C, that is mu rarer by mu denser. For any set of media, critical angle formula is this one. So based on this, one question they used to ask in the entrance, that is, see, they can ask you in this manner. Suppose there is a water surface, there is a bulb at the bottom. Then the light will travel in all the directions, so that light will emerge through a particular circular area. So up to what range it will emerge is up to an angle called C, critical angle. So if you go beyond this, angle of incidence becomes greater than this, so light will reflect back inside the water only, it will not come out. So we can see the light within this area only. So they will ask you what is the area. For that you need radius. They will give what is the depth. Then if this is C, this is also C. Then from this, sin C equal to opposite R by hypotenuse. This hypotenuse is under root R square plus H square. But sin C means mu rarer by mu denser. So this is the formula. So you will get what? Radius. Then what is the area will become circular area? Pi r square. Or same question they can ask you that there is a fish inside the water. So what is the area? Field of view we call it as. Through what area it can see the outside world. So that is called field of view. So that is also same question, same equation, but the way of asking question is different. So that kind of question will come based on total internal reflection. Now, this total internal reflection applications will be there with the prism also. So what is that? So here, whatever refraction we are telling, that refraction can occur through prism also. So when you consider a prism, so when light ray enters at an angle of incidence I, then it will go refraction. Then again it will undergo refraction. So there are two refracting surfaces. And the angle between two refracting surfaces is called refracting angle or angle of prism A. So that here at first surface the angle of refraction is R1. At second surface angle of incidence is R2. And the second surface angle of refraction is called E because it is emerging out. That's why we call it as angle of emergence. So that here what happens is this is the initial direction. This is the final direction. So there is some deviation. So that deviation formula what we derive here is I plus E minus A, where A equal to R1 plus R2. This is the one formula based on which questions can come. Another formula is when R1 equal to R2, I equal to E, then the inside ray will become parallel to the base, and in that particular case the deviation for the light ray becomes minimum. So that deviation is called minimum deviation, and that formula is 2I minus A because I equal to E, where A equal to R1 equal to R2, let's say some R, so that is 2R, so that R equal to A by 2. So using this condition, we derive the formula for refractive index of the medium of prism. That is mu equal to sine of A plus delta m by 2 by sine A by 2, where A is angle of prism, delta m is minimum deviation. So based on the deviation, based on the minimum deviation, based on the refractive index, they can ask you question. But here they can ask you question in this way also. Not only based on this formula. Sometimes what they will do is, now what is the other thing is, suppose there is a prism. Now see, the prism can enter like this light. So this is called grazing incidence. Means here angle of incidence is 90 degrees. Or the other possibility, condition they will give. So when they mention, then you have to take the particular value. So the light can go like this and it can emerge like this. That means this is grazing emergence. So then E will become 90. The other possibility in the question they can give. The prism, the incident ray fall perpendicular. So perpendicular means angle of incidence 0. Or the other condition they will give, it will go like, and here it incident perpendicularly. So here perpendicular means I0 R1 0. Here it is perpendicular means R2E both are 0. So that whatever equations we have taken just before, they get manipulated. They will not give E value, they will not give R2 value. They will indirectly mention grazing incidence, grazing emergence, or perpendicular incidence or perpendicular emergence. So like that they can give the question, or they will mention the condition in the question. Accordingly you should take the data. Sometimes what they do is, in case of prism, they will silver one side, so that the light will fall and it will here and it will reflect back. So most of the times what they will tell is, it is retraces its path. Retracing its path means what? here it is coming back again. So as it is coming back, when you consider, what you should understand here is, here there is a 90 degrees. So perpendicular incidence. So that here you have to consider that R2 0. Then when R2 0, so A equal to R1 plus R2, then R1 will become A. So here at first surface I and R1 if you consider, then sin I by sin R1 equal to, here mu1, here mu2, so mu2 by mu1. So like this they can ask questions. Or sometimes based on the prism only, suppose the prism is, this also prism, because two refracting surfaces are there. Then they will tell you the light fall here, and that is not emerging through here, it is emerging through here only. That means here it is, what is happening here? It is falling here but it is totally reflecting. Means here angle of incidence should be greater than what? Critical angle. So based on those things also they can ask you the condition. Or sometimes you take right angle triangular prism. Suppose there is a right angular triangular prism like this. Now a light ray falls perpendicular, so incident angle 0, and here it undertake total internal reflection, and here then it go back. So here what will happen? Here if you consider the perpendicular, so this angle of incidence should be greater than critical angle. What is the critical angle for any interface? Mu rarer by mu denser. Sin C equal to mu rarer by mu denser. So such kind of conditions they will mention in the question. So according to the question they mentioned, you have to understand and you have to solve the question. And one of the very easy and important topic in the whole ray optics is prism. And based on the same prism, they will also give question, one more question, that is, what is that other question is, when there is a prism and white light enters, then what happens is, the light divides into 7 parts, that we call it as dispersion. So the light is dividing into 7 portions. So like V, B, G, Y, O, R, red light. So red will bend less and violet will bend more. So that there is some angular separation between red and violet, that is called angular dispersion. So the angle through which they are separated. And here the deviation for violet means, see, the deviation for violet means mu V minus 1 into A. Deviation for red means mu red minus 1 into A. And the middle one is average one yellow, that is mu Y minus 1 into A. How we take this formula? Just before we have seen. Deviation for a thin prism is mu minus 1 into A. For violet it is mu V. For red it is mu R. For yellow it is mu Y. But sometimes mu Y, if they don't mention and you require, if they mention mu V mu R, you can find that the average of mu V mu R is equal to mu Y. So that there is different deviation for different one. Now the angular dispersion, that is, the angular dispersion theta means delta V minus delta R. So if you subtract these two, then what is the answer will become? Mu V minus mu R into A. This is the one formula based on which they will ask question, that is angular dispersion. So angular dispersion. And sometimes they will also ask one more thing, that is dispersive power. So how effectively that can separate the colors, that is called dispersive power omega, that is angle of dispersion by minimum mean deviation. Mean means middle one, yellow. So theta is mu V minus mu R into A by delta Y is mu Y minus 1 into A. So both get cancelled. So this is the dispersive power. So angular dispersion and dispersive power. So based on this also we can get questions. But here one more important topic is there, based on which usually they will ask question, that is, let's take one prism refractive index mu and angle of prism A. Let's take another prism and you arrange in this manner, whose angle of incidence is A dash and this is mu dash. Now when light falls here, then it goes deviation, then here, then it will bend in opposite direction, such that what are the two possibilities is this and this may be parallel. So here no deviation, but there is a dispersion outward. So this is called dispersion without deviation. That means deviation by this one, that is mu minus 1 into A, plus deviation this one, this is deviating down, this is deviating up, both are equal and opposite. That means mu dash minus 1 into A dash should be 0. This is called dispersion without deviation. In another case, there is no dispersion but deviation may be there. So no separation of colors will happen. So in that case, mu V minus mu R into A plus mu V dash minus mu R dash into A dash. This is the dispersion for first prism. This is the dispersion for second prism. That should be 0. So here deviation is there but dispersion is 0. So they can ask you the condition dispersion without deviation or deviation without dispersion. So an achromatic combination of two prisms. So based on this also they used to ask questions. Many times they have asked the questions. So this is about mostly the reflection and refraction through prism and what are all the types of questions and whatever important formulas are there. But one thing I would like to mention here, that in case of mirror they will ask you what is the nature of image. So nature of image, how do you find? So first you find V value. So if V negative real, V positive, then it is virtual. That is the one nature you will decide. Then magnification you will find, magnification magnitude, if it is greater than 1, enlarge. If it is less than 1, then it is diminished. And if you take just magnification, if it is negative, if it is positive. If it is positive, that is erect image. If it is negative, that is inverted. Because one is up, one is down. One is plus, one is minus. So minus, inverted. Both are above, both plus. Both are below, both negative. Minus, minus, plus. That is erect image. So that one thing we missed, because in few questions they will also ask what is the nature of the image. Because you can apply the formula and you can solve it, but they may also ask you what is the nature. So please remember this thing also. Now in continuation, we will take refraction through a curved surface. So what is that refraction through a curved surface? So when you consider refraction through a curved surface, so there is a curved surface. Then there is an object. For every curved surface there is a center and there is a radius of curvature. Now when image forms due to refraction, so there is an image distance, there is an object distance, and there is a medium in which object is placed, there is a medium in which image is forming. So you don't bother about N2 first. You have to look at in which medium object is there. That you consider as N1. And object side always distance you have to measure as negative. The other side you have to take it as positive. Then the formula here is N2 by V minus N1 by U equal to N2 minus N1 by R. And this is the formula for refraction through a spherical or curved surface or refraction at spherical surface. So based on this formula we will study about lenses. So that lens part and the optical instrument part we will discuss tomorrow. So today it's all about mirrors, prism and all those things. And one formula, last formula, refraction through curved surface or spherical surface. So revise everything. I will send you the complete list of formula. So go through the formula list. Remember each and every formula. Take care of sign convention. Understand the question. Collect the data with proper sign convention and then try to solve the question. So please revise everything. We'll continue in the next class. So there we will discuss about lenses and the optical instruments part. Thank you.
So what kind of questions will come? So previous year's questions. So just have a look at it. See here one question, a man of height 1.6 meter wishes to see his full image in a plane mirror placed at a distance of 2 meter. So the minimum length of the mirror. So the minimum length of the mirror in case of to observe your full image or any person you want to observe your full image or any person want to see his full image. The minimum length of the mirror should be equal to half of the height. That means 1.6 by 2. So the length will become 0.8 meter. Suppose here one more question will come. Suppose you are standing in between two walls and here one mirror is arranged and you have to see the full height of the wall. This is the behind your one wall is there and the height of the wall is h. Then the mirror length required is 1/3 of the height of the wall so that you can see the full height of the mirror. So like that questions can come. Even questions can come, as I said, the number of images between two plane mirrors inclined at some angle theta also. So just I have shown one example. Now if we move to next example, here there is a question based on spherical mirror. That is, here they have given a question based on concave mirror. So an object is placed at a distance 15 centimeter from a concave mirror. So the object distance is 15 centimeter and object side is always negative. So minus 15 centimeter. And the focal length. So focal length of concave mirror is always negative and the focal length of convex mirror is always positive. Then if you apply the formula 1 by V plus 1 by U equal to 1 by F, first one, you can find the position of image. So 1 by V equal to 1 by F minus 1 by U. So 1 by minus 10 minus 1 by minus 15. So 1 by V equal to minus of minus plus. So minus 1 by 10 plus 1 by 15. If you take LCM, minus 15 plus 10 by 10 into 15. So if you calculate the V value, you will get it as negative. So V equal to, this is reverse it will become. So 10 into 15 by here minus 15 plus 10 is minus 5. 5 3s are. So minus 30. So V is negative means what I said you to conclude it is a real image first of all. And magnification if you consider, so magnification is minus V by U. So where minus of V is minus 30, U is minus 15. So here minus minus becomes plus. So 15 2s are, so minus 2. So M is negative. So M negative means what it represents. M positive means correct, M negative means inverted. And magnitude of M is greater than 1. That means enlarged. So real, inverted, enlarged image. So magnified and inverted. So they did not mention about real and virtual, only they mentioned magnified or not, or inverted or erected. So magnified and erect. So the answer is magnified and erect. So this way you need to calculate the values and you need to find out the nature of the image. Fine. Let's take here one more question based on the same spherical mirrors. So here, if in the following figure, height of the object is 2.5, this is the height, then height of the image they are asking. So the magnification formula is height of image by height of object, that is also equal to minus V by U, where object distance is minus 1.5 F, where F is focal length according to the diagram, and the focal length is minus F. So here concave mirror. Now we want V. So we want means 1 by V equal to 1 by F minus 1 by U. So 1 by F is minus F, U is minus 1.5 F. Now let us calculate. If you calculate, then how much you will get? So 1 by V equal to, let's take 1 by f common. So here minus 1. Here minus of minus plus. 1.5 I can write it as 3 by 2. So 2 by 3 it will become. So it will become minus 3 plus 2. So minus 1 by 3. So that V equal to minus 3f. So if you substitute in the formula height of image by height of object equal to minus of minus 3f by u is minus 1.5f. ff cancel, minus minus cancel. 3 by 1.5 is 2. So minus 2. So height of image is 2 times height of object. Where height of object is how much they have given? 2.5. So 2.5 into 2 means 5, but minus 5. So what is the answer here? Minus 5 centimeter. So this way, you just have to look at the question, understand the data they have given, whatever formulas we are having. Take the formula and use the proper sign convention and then try to solve the question. Now, similar way, one more question let us take. A concave mirror of focal length 15 centimeter forms an image having twice the linear dimensions of the object. See, focal length of the concave mirror is 15. So, for concave mirror, so minus. Forms an image having twice the linear dimension. That means height of image is 2 times that of height of object. So, now the position of the object and the image is the position of the object when the image is virtual. So image is virtual means the image is beyond. So if you take the concave mirror case, when the image is virtual, when object is between focus and pole, then the image is virtual beyond the mirror. So in that case, object distance is negative, but image distance is positive. But here magnification 2 times means the magnification minus v by u is 2 means magnitude of v is 2 times magnitude of u. So if you take u as minus x, v will become plus 2x. Why u is minus? Because object side negative. Why v is positive? Because virtual image, so other side it is forming. Now what they are asking, the position of the object. That means x value they are asking. So if you apply the formula 1 by v plus 1 by u equal to 1 by f implies 1 by v value is 2x minus 1 by x because u is minus x equal to 1 by f. If you take LCM, so minus 1 by 2x equal to 1 by f. So that you take cross multiply x equal to minus f by 2 where f value is 15 by 2. So that minus 7.5. So u value is minus x means 7.5. So the magnitude if you consider how much it will become 7.5 centimeter. So this way whatever formulas we are having, usually if they give question based on spherical mirror means you have to use mirror equation or you have to use magnification formula. Most of the times we will solve questions based on this only, not more than that. Now if you consider another one simple question. So I have given that velocity of or speed of light in any medium is c by mu, where c is the speed of light in vacuum, mu is the refractive index. So here what will be the velocity of light in a medium of refractive index 1.4. So c is 3 into 10 power 8, that is in vacuum, divided by refractive index is 1.4. So 3 by 1.4, 30 by 14 approximately into 10 power 8. So 2 7s are 2 15s are approximately 7 2s are 14 means 2.1 something into 10 power 8. So what is the correct answer? The option A. Now one more thing. After reflection, so the refraction based questions will come. Here a fish in water looks at a bird. So that means here water is there. So here the fish is there. So here the fish is there at a depth something. If y is the height of the bird and x is the depth of the fish, so there is a bird. Now the height is y. Now here the distance of the bird as estimated by the fish. That means fish is looking at the bird. Now this is observer it will become, and this is object it will become now. First thing. Now when observer is in denser medium, whatever it is, here this is the real height and there is one apparent height. So what is the apparent height by real height formula I said? So apparent height by real height means mu observer by mu object. So here the bird is in air. So here observer is in water, fish. So mu. By object is the fish that is in air. So 1. So that the apparent will become dr into mu. So here dr real is y. So mu into y. Or here refractive index they mention as n. So n into y. Now when fish look at the bird, so this is x, but this is becoming n into y. So what is the total distance estimated by fish for the bird will become x plus, because from here to here only one medium, no change in distance. Now here the distance changes because medium changed. So that is x plus ny. So the answer will become x plus ny, option B. So this way, based on the apparent and real depth also, they can ask you the question. Now, similar way, I told you when multiple media is there, then there is a apparent depth and there is a shift due to each of them. Now here, considering normal incident of ray, the equivalent refractive index of the combination of two slabs. So here they are asking the equivalent refractive index. So equivalent refractive index means, see first what is the apparent depth? Apparent depth means T1 by mu1 plus T2 by mu2. Now the apparent depth will become T1 is 10 by 4 by 3 plus T2 is 15 by 3 by 2. So it will become 30 by 4 plus 30 by 3. So how much is the apparent depth will become? Apparent depth D apparent will become, if you take LCM 90 plus 120, so 210 by 12. This is the apparent depth. So if you take, suppose this is like one medium now, this is completely like one medium having depth 10 plus 15 25, then apparent depth will become real depth 25 by the resultant one single refractive index mu. Then what is the resultant mu? It behaves like, so 25, if mu goes this side, 25 by 210 into 12. So if you calculate this, then you will get the answer. So this way here the logically what they are asking is, if they are independent, even though they are independent, they behave like one single medium. Suppose if you assume them like one single medium, then what is the refractive index? First I consider them separately, then I found in the apparent depth. Then what I have done is I consider them as one single system with refractive index mu. Then the apparent distance must be same. So I calculated by equating both of them. Now here one more question based on the same concept, apparent depth. A transparent cube of 0.21 meter edge contains a small air bubble. So there is a cube is there. One air bubble is there. Its apparent distance when viewed through one face of the cube, let's take the side length of the cube is x. Now, or let's take better L. Now when viewed through one face of the cube is 0.10 and when viewed from the opposite face is 0.04. See, we don't know where is it is. Let's say somewhere. So the distance you consider x. Then the other face distance will become L minus x. So x is the real depth from one side. L minus x is the real depth from other side. But when they viewed from one side, the apparent depth is 0.10 and when they viewed from other side, the apparent depth is 0.04. That means suppose from here you are observing. So then the real depth is x. So apparent depth means what is the formula? X by mu. That is 0.10. Now when you observe from the other side, from here, From here you are observing now. Now what happens? The real depth is L minus x. So the apparent depth is L minus x by mu, and that they have given as 0.04. Now mu value we don't know. Then they are asking the actual distance of the bubble from the second face of the cube. Second face means what value we want? L minus x. If you want L minus x, we want x because L already given. How much? 0.21 meter. So how can we find this one? You divide these two things. So L minus x by x equal to 0.04 by 0.10. So if you solve this equation, then you will get the x value. Once you get the x value, then you can find L minus x value because we know the L value. So this way, they can ask the questions based on apparent depth or refraction. Now here, after that we have seen total internal reflection. Suppose in this condition, if you see, the light wave incident here at an angle theta and took refraction. Let's take the refraction angle r. Then here angle will become 90 minus r because it is a right angle triangle. But here after incidenting here, the ray became parallel means for this interface, here angle of incidence is 90 minus r and the angle of refraction is 90 degrees. That means here critical angle condition came. So this must be equal to critical angle, where critical angle is mu rarer by mu denser, where if you take the formula sin c, that is sin 90 minus r equal to mu rarer. Rarer means outside is 1 by mu denser inside, that is 2 by root 3. So root 3 by 2. Now they are asking theta value. How can we find theta value? At the first interface, if you apply Snell's law sin I, that means sin theta, by sin r equal to mu 2, that is 2 by root 3, by mu 1 outside A. So here you will get the r value. That r value here if you substitute, then you will get the theta value. How can you get here r value? Here sin of 90 minus r is root 3 by 2. So what is sin theta will become? Theta value. So theta should be 60 degrees. Then r value will become what? 30. So r value if you substitute here 30, then you will get the sin theta. Then you can write the equation for theta as sin inverse something. So this way they can ask you the question based on total internal reflection. And I also told you, like based on total internal reflection, what is the area of the field of view or what is the radius of circular region through which light emerges. So here they are asking fish looking up through the water sees outside world contained in a circular horizon. If the refractive index of the water is 4 by 3 and the fish is 12 centimeter below, as we have taken the formula, there is a circular region as it is at a depth h. This is the radius and here this is the critical angle. Let's take. Then sin c equal to, one formula is r by root of r square plus h square equal to the mu rarer by mu denser, where mu rarer is outside 1, mu denser is water 4 by 3. So that is nothing but 3 by 4. Now if you square both sides, then you will get the equation because they have given h value. We want which value? R square. Suppose if you have square both sides, so r square by r square plus h square equal to 3 by 4. Just cross multiply. 4r square equal to 3r square plus 3h square. If you bring this side, r square equal to 3h square. So r equal to root 3h. So this way you can understand the question and you can solve the question. So this way you can solve it. So what is the radius of this circle in centimeter? Now similar way, when you consider one more question, sometimes simple question they will ask, what is the critical angle for any interface? So critical angle means already I told you mu rarer by mu denser. So here mu rarer by mu denser when you consider critical angle for total internal reflection from medium. So mu denser is let's say mu and to vacuum. Vacuum means it's almost like air. So mu rarer is 1. So the critical angle is 30 degrees. Then the velocity of light in the medium. That means critical angle 30 means sine 30 equal to mu rarer 1 by mu. So that mu is 1 by sine 30 means 2. Then what is the speed of the light in that means c by mu? That is 3 into 10 power 8 by 2. So it will become 1.5. So option B. Now, after that we have seen the questions based on like prism. So usually they will ask question based on minimum deviation as I said. Here in this question they have given the minimum deviation as 30 degrees. Then they are asking speed of light in the medium means, in the prism means, speed of light means c by mu. So we have to find out refractive index. And they have given one more value that a equal to 60 degrees. Then what is the formula for refractive index of the prism I have given? Sine of a plus delta m by 2 by sine of a by 2. Where a is 60, delta m is 30. So 60 plus 30 by 2 means 45. By sine of a by 2 means 60 by 2 sine 30. So that is 1 by root 2 by 1 by 2. So it will become root 2. So that v equal to c by mu. So 3 by root 2 into 10 power 8. So what is the answer will come? Option A. So like this, the simple questions will come, formula based questions will come. Only thing you need to understand the question properly, then you need to solve it properly. Now here you take another question. The angle of incidence for a ray of light at a refracting surface of a prism is 45 degrees. The angle of prism is 60 degrees. So the angle of incidence they have given, that is 45 degrees. Now if the ray suffers minimum deviation through the prism, the angle of minimum deviation, so the ray suffers minimum deviation. Then they are asking angle of minimum deviation and refractive index. First, angle of minimum deviation means 2i minus a. We have taken the formula. So 2 into 45 minus 60. So 90 minus 60 is 30. So either option A or option C. Then they are asking what is the refractive index. That is sine of a plus delta m by 2 by sine of a by 2. A is 60. Delta m is 30. Again, it will become sine 45 by sine 60 by 2 30. So it is again what it will become root 2. So option A is correct. So this kind of question. See, if you look at the questions, all the previous year's questions are for NEET or JIPMER or any KSET or KC, anything. So the questions will be mostly based on formula, simple, data-based questions only they can ask you. And here one more question. The refracting angle of a prism is A and refractive index of the material of the prism is cot A by 2. The angle of minimum deviation is. So the formula if you consider mu equal to sine of A plus delta m by 2 by sine A by 2. Where mu is cot A by 2 means that is cos A by 2 by sine A by 2. So sine denominator cancel. So here right hand side cos is there, left hand side sine is there. So how can we write it? So to equate it, sine A plus delta m by 2 equal to cos I can write. No deviation. No deviation means mu minus 1 into A due to 1 should be equal to mu dash minus 1 into A dash due to other one. So deviation of 1 must be cancelled by deviation of other one. Where mu is 1.51 minus 1 and the corresponding angle is 5. Mu dash is 1.65 minus 1 into A dash. They are asking what is the A dash value. So every value is given. If you just solve it, then you will get the answer. So this way, the questions can be asked based on the reflection, refraction, reflection at plane surface, reflection at spherical surface, based on concave mirror or convex mirror, based on the apparent and real distances, based on the refraction through prism, based on the refractive index of prism, based on the dispersion through prism. So like this, the questions can come. So please try to understand the question and remember each and every formula. So in this short time, what you can do is remember each and every formula thoroughly so that you don't have to wait for a single second also what might be the formula for this question. If you are ready with all those formulas, then I can give you the assurance that 70 to 80% of the questions you can solve easily. Only thing, collection of data, take the suitable formula, do the proper calculation. These things, if you do it carefully from all the chapters, then 80% of the questions you can get it 100%. So please focus on this thing so that you can get minimum 80%. So 80% means it's not a small thing, it's a very big thing. At least 70%. Minimum 100 plus marks will come in physics. So please try to understand the importance and hope you will do that one. So we'll continue in the coming class. Thank you, all of you.